Hello. Welcome to another episode here of our developer stream on World of Tanks console. How you doing, Mr. Not That Debo? You're not Mr.
Hello,
Bam. I was gonna call you Mr. Bam. How you doing?
Mr. Bam. I am nowhere near as handsome as Mr. Bam. I am older and more homely, but I do say I have a nicer radio voice and a
Absolutely.
radio face. Hey, got a question for you, Tankz0rz.
Shoot.
How can you tell if a graveyard is popular?
Hmm. Not sure.
You'll find that people are just dying to get in there.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. See, that's the problem. Bam's not here, and now you got to deal with my nonsense.
He doesn't have the witty jokes, does he? But
He's a man of culture and taste. He doesn't. He doesn't indulge in the dad joke like I do. So, what do we got?
let's talk about tanks. That's why we're here today, right? So first
Last time,
up, oh, what was that, Mr. Debo?
I said last time I checked, we were here to talk about tanks. So yes.
I mean, it's either going to be food, the weather, or tanks. One of those three.
Well, it's 70 degrees here in Chicago right now, so not really much to say. It's pretty pleasant.
It's getting warm. It's getting warm. But we're here to talk about tanks. Most recently, we had a mega bundle giveaway for all of the Warhammer 40,000 gear, and we have some winners to announce. So we'll go ahead and start off with that. And our winners here, starting off at the top, is Harvey 509, Arwis 1972, NCAA 380, and Prowley. So congratulations to all of our lucky winners. You can find out more on our social media pages if you think you may have been a lucky winner here.
Congrats, guys. There's some good stuff coming your way. Enjoy.
And this week, why don't you kick us off with some info for this week, Mr. Demo?
Okay, info for this week. Well, let's see. Lots of things to talk about, I suppose. Well, first of all, we can make mention of Golden Week. We're still celebrating Golden Week in Japan. And those of you who've been participating with our Golden Week website, which is at lucky.watmaevents.com. Might be a hyphen in there. I'll allow one of the excellent fact checkers to make sure the right link is around. But those of you who've been participating there and gathering up tickets, we appreciate you. We've seen pretty nice participation from people, and we're real enthused about that. I know that there have been some processing delays on the tickets. We've got some data update stuff there so that sometimes people have to wait till the next day to cash in those tickets and stuff. We know about that, and we're working to make sure that the next event that we do has less lag in terms of data update and stuff like that. So little nuts and bolts detail there. But yeah, we feel you on that. We know that wasn't ideal, and we're going to try to do a little better with the next one. Let's see. So let's see what else we got there. Yeah, a couple of details, those you may already know, but worth reiterating. Silver tickets, easier to get a hold of and win. And you get some of the smaller prize offerings for those. The golden tickets, of course, they're golden tickets. Of course, they're hard to get. I mean, you're trying to get the whole chocolate factory. They're not going to make it easy for Charlie, right? They just don't. But they're going to win you larger prizes, and they're earned by completing the in-game challenges. And they can also be given out as part of the Golden Week holidays. There are 4 in total, starting as soon as tomorrow. So that gives us Showa Day, April 29th, Constitution Memorial Day, May 3rd, Greenery Day, May 4th, and Children's Day, May 5th, today. Those are the official Golden Week holidays. Or, like I said, you can get your hands on a golden ticket through special events. They will not show up, as I was noting, the data issues, they will not show up until 10 a.m. UTC the following day. So remember, that's Greenwich Mean Time. And if you're, for example, in the Midwest, like I am, you're either at Greenwich Mean Time -5 or Greenwich Mean Time -6, depending on the time of year and the wondrous activity that is known as daylight savings time. So please keep your eyes peeled for those. And like I said, yeah, we're going to do better on the data synchronization stuff going forward to have a little tighter timeline between our data warehouse and the event site so that you can cache those things in a little sooner. I think that's all we had to say on Golden Week there. Are we ready to move on, Tankz0rz?
Absolutely.
All
Next
right.
up on our list is everyone's favorite here, Warhammer 40,000.
Warhammer 40,000. I will say, for me personally, when we got the opportunity to work with Games Workshop on some content for the game, for Warhammer 40,000, I was pretty enthused. I am a Warhammer 40,000 fan myself. That's some iconic stuff. Hard for me not to like it. Obviously the team worked really hard on that. I think we produced some really good stuff there in terms of tanks, commanders, voiceovers, all that sort of stuff. I think it's pretty good stuff. And so far, it seems like, a lot of people out there like it. And I certainly hope the people who are tuned in and listening today are enjoying that stuff. As always, we're open to feedback. If there's areas where it wasn't great, like if your Lehman Russ isn't everything you hoped it would be, sure, we'd like to hear about that. So the tanks themselves, the Nemesis, Tier 10, that's in the mercenary line. It's a tank destroyer. There is a beautiful image of it. It's big, it's beefy, it's got multiple weapon options, standard to high damage or quick firing. It comes with variable reload times depending on which ammo you choose. Good all-rounder, good in most positions, right? Next up, the Tiefbreaker, which is, of course, our Tier 9 Merc. That is the Orc entry in this whole mix, obviously, as the name and the visuals would indicate. It's speedy, it's mobile, it's a light tank with a fast-firing cannon. It's got turbo mode to increase speed at the expense of maneuverability, and really, really good for, quick lightning attacks on unsuspecting enemies. So that's the one where you're going to, swoop and boom in and then swoop out. Little bit of risk there, but also rewarding if you can pull it off.
I see KB here in chat says red means fast.
Indeed, it does. I agree with that sentiment 100%. Next up, what do we got here? The Reaper's Scythe. That's a Tier 8 mercenary line medium. It's tough, packs a punch. It's got an HE-based gun that deals damage and crew damage. You're trading mobility for armor, this one, be aware. You're not going to be as tough, and you're not going to take as many hits, but you are going to be more mobile. And hey, some people would argue that being more mobile means you don't get hit as much. That is up to pilot skill, of course, and I'm sure some people will have a great time with this for that very reason. But most of the time, I would say that this tank, you're going to trade mobility for armor, but you are going to end up being the one walking away after most fights. What does that bring us to then? A couple more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course, the one I already mentioned earlier, my personal favorite, the Lehman Russ. This is the iconic Imperial Guard tank, right? And if you're, like I said, if you're a Warhammer 40,000 person, you may or may not be an Imperial Guard lover, but I personally am. I love any faction that increases morale by shooting people in the unit to make everybody else perform better out of fear for their lives. That's my favorite game mechanic ever. Too bad we don't have that in ours, but hey, you can dream. Lehman Russ. It's Tier 10, Merc line, heavy. And also, this one is exclusive. We know that some of these other tanks have been available in our Big Brother game over there, World of Tanks on the PC. And this one we're very proud of because it's ours and ours alone at this time. It's Modern Armor exclusive. Obviously, it's the Lehman Russ. You brawl in this one. Full frontal assault. You can hit from a distance, but, you need to back up here. Sides and rear armors are a bit lighter, but, stand your ground. And don't let any of the heretics through. That's the goal with this one. That takes us, I believe, to our last one, and certainly not least, the Ignis Purgatio. That's an Era 2 Cold War tank. So it's one of the independents. It's a medium, high mobility. You're trading armor for lots of damage on this one. You got a 20-round auto main cannon that's going to be strong against lights, cause a lot of pain for anyone else that comes at you unprepared. Now, you got an added missile launcher on this one, too. So the added missile launcher is going to guarantee, some additional damage for you, but you're going to have to be aware of its position, right, and use it accordingly.
Awesome stuff. Tanks look awesome. Lehman Russ does look amazing.
Super proud of that one. The team did a great job, really, reproducing all the detail, same kind of detail, same kind of attention to paint and whatnot, and various affordances on the tank that you'd see on the actual model if you went into Games Workshop and bought a model to paint.
Let's see. In addition to the vehicles, we also have some commanders, don't we?
We do. Super proud of these as well. I'm not going to lie. When we first got the voiceover recordings back for integration into the game, from the group we work with to provide the voice acting talent, we were blown away. Really, really good. They just nailed the performances, and we were super proud of it. And of course, when you've got good audio, you need good visuals, and we were very proud of the team's work on modeling these guys and animating them and rigging them and all that good stuff. And believe me, we went through lots of back and forth with Games Workshop to get these guys right because, of course, they're iconic. Games Workshop doesn't want you to produce anything that doesn't meet their standard. And so we had to really step up on that. And I'm proud of these. So for the Ultramarines, we've got Volosantasius. If you know Warhammer 40,000, you know what this is. Some people would argue Ultramarines are maybe oversaturated. Maybe, you like a different faction. But for me, I'm totally fine with them. They're the best of the best. And I think that's the right one to be our Space Marine candidate in the game. It should be an Ultramarine. Now for the Sisters of Battle, we've got Patricia Lasarian. She's also a really nice model. You might not all be Sisters of Battle fans. Maybe some of you guys are. I think this one, for me personally, if I was to, I like them both, but I love this one because I love the voiceover so much. It is literally my favorite voiceover in the game. And I think, they just really nailed it. And this one is right now my current fave. We also have some 2D commanders. Now, these don't have the unique voiceover, but they're still Warhammer. They're still very, very nicely rendered. We've got Volosantasius, of course, in 2D form. We've got Dolgothsek. We've got Kroglin the Face Grinder, or Kroglin the Face Grinder, if you prefer that voice. We've got Fecrustus Spute. We've got Natalestra Asparis and Patricia Lasarian again in 2D form. And I, personally, Tankz0rz, I want, extra hazard pay for having to pronounce all those names quickly. So we're going to be talking about that later.
Oh, you did a great job. Also, have you considered a line of work in voice acting? Because that was some fancy voice acting you had there.
Oh, hey, are you kidding? When they were going over all the audio lines and stuff for the voiceover, man, I freely admit I nerded out. I read each one of them myself. Like, yeah, it should sound like this. And then when they got the actual voice actors, I was like, that is so much better than anything I thought they were going to do. So yeah, I'm super jacked about those, in case you haven't noticed.
Awesome.
Okay, what does that bring us to? We talked about the commanders, the tanks, and we got the event itself, I guess, yeah?
I think it's the event that's going on with this.
Yep. Similar to what we did for our holiday ops, back during the December and January period. We've got a community operation where you can pick your own team. You can pick to be with the Ultramarines or be a member of the Adeptus Sororitas. Now, there are going to be two distinct events being run. So there's no need to worry about like, hey, am I going to get the rewards for this? So you're going to have two swings at the bat, so to speak. You're going to have two at bats, and you're going to get two opportunities to gather up the rewards. So there's no need to worry too much about FOMO or anything like that. Everyone should have a good chance to get at this stuff. Now, event one is pick your team and then face off against the orcs. Ultramarine rewards will include orc and ultramarine inscriptions, emblems, discounts on the Nemesis and the Teeth Breaker. The Adeptus Sororitas team rewards will include orc and Adeptus Sororitas inscriptions, emblems, and discounts on the Ignis Purgatio and the Teeth Breaker. So both cases, you can get the Teeth Breaker as a reward. The main differences will be in the faction-specific tank that you're going to get back, and in some of the emblems and inscriptions. Now, that's the first event. Second event, instead of facing off against the orcs, you face off against the forces of chaos. Because, blood for the blood god, you know where this all goes and why it's awesome. Ultramarine rewards include Orc and Ultramarine inscriptions, emblems, and discounts on the Nemesis and Reaper Scythe tanks. Same thing again for the Adeptus Sororitas team. You get the inscriptions, the emblems, the discounts on the Ignis Brigadio and Reaper Scythe. That's why we made point like, okay, you got 2 events, 2 chances to get the good stuff. So get in there and brawl. Now, since we were speaking about voiceover work, I do have to read this one in character because, you know, somebody took the time to write this very nicely. So here we go. The Emperor has granted his blessings. You'll likely have noticed now a huge increase in points. Go forth in glorious victory to earn these rewards. There you go.
That's actually really impressive.
Hey, hot take, man. There you go.
On the fly. Unrehearsed.
All right. Off the cuff. Me and William Shatner. I'm good at the cold read. Also happening this week, International Firefighters Day. You can earn yourself a John Garvey commander by placing in the top 5 XP earners on your team 30 times. Also, and please, any of our fans who are from France, I understand Cinco de Mayo is maybe not your jam, and I respect that. For those of you who do celebrate Cinco de Mayo, you can earn yourself emblems, inscriptions, and flags by completing a range of challenges. We also have VE Day, Victory in Europe. Obviously, that's a big one and very significant, and we should take time to honor that. For us, we'll be offering X3 XP. So get 3 times the XP on your daily bonuses. That's May 5th through May 9th. Tank of the month, the IS-2. What does that bring us to?
That brings us to next week, and we're kicking off with more camos. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Way more camos. Okay. Now, I don't know how some of you will feel about this. I personally am a fan, but you may feel differently. But we're going to have the bright pink and purple, bright purple and blue, and NATO 01, which is green and purple. Those camo sets will be dropping. For those of you that may have seen a little known anime called Evangelion, I don't know, may or may not have heard of it. Yeah, I kind of like those because they very much remind me of the Eva. You may feel differently. Personally, I think they rock.
Yeah, that center one reminds me of 01.
There you go. You saw hints of these in the season trailer. We've got a few other things going on here. We've got enemy is hit, damage 5 or more vehicles in a battle to get an extra 500 experience for that game. You can do that up to 5 times per day. We've also got the team play enabler, assist in 250 or more damage in a battle to get a 1.25 experience boost. So yeah, 1.25 times experience boost for that. That is available once per day per vehicle. The contracts available next week will be the Bulwark and the Hard Case. And last but not least for next week, we've got Mother's Day. So those of you, please show your mothers some love and respect and get them something nice. And in the meantime, we've got something nice for you. We'll have some Mother's Day emblems that'll be on sale next weekend and earn you 12.5K experience to get a collection. So you can complete your whole collection of those with that extra experience.
Yeah, that's actually a good reminder. Mother's Day weekend coming up, so yeah, everyone.
Yeah, you got something nice for your mother, Tankz0rz?
Got some nice flowers for my mother, and some chocolates. Always accompany with some chocolates.
Yes, you got to have sweets for the sweet. Very good. I'm sure she'll appreciate you. You're a good boy.
And that brings us to our shout outs. Everyone that's mentioned in our shout outs is getting a confidential key card.
Confidential key cards. There we go. Battle Feats, Mercenary Edition. Okay, here we go. What do we got for, okay, who we got for the shout outs here? Here we go. I'm going to read these out and try to get the names right. Please forgive me if I get your name wrong. I'm doing my best. All right. In the machine, we have Molan Labe Joe with the max kills in a single game. 9. Solid performance there. GL_Max with the max damage in a single battle of 10,897. Also strong. We've got Smaug FM 818 with the max combined assisted in a single battle of 8,682. Well done, all. That's the machine. On to the chisel. Kudya 21 with the max damage in a single battle, 9,428. We've got Macker's 1987 with the max combined assisted in a single battle of 8,937. And then we've got Lukash K 1981 with the max XP earned in a single battle of 2,175. Congrats to you all. Enjoy that key card. Up next, in the Tusk, we've got Kamil Skoronsky. Hope I got that right. Kamil Skoronsky with the max damage in a single battle of 6,939. We've got X_pragmatic_X with the max combined assisted in a single battle of 9,939. Osmanthus 0827 with the max XP earned in a single battle, 2,068. Congrats to you as well. Medal showcase. We've got the Fadin medal awarded for destroying the last enemy vehicle in the battle with the player's last remaining shell. So that's about as clutch as it gets. I like that one. This was earned over the past week by Taika Hatu in their Tusk. Well done. We also have the Kolobanov awarded to a player who stands alone against 5 or more enemy tanks or artillery and wins. Talk about the last stand lone wolf. All right. Sturmgewitter 51 in their chisel. Super strong. Love it. Congrats. We've got some additional milestones. We want to give a big thank you and big congrats to Ziggin and Zaggin and Decked Racer 4 for reaching 100,000 battles. I personally love celebrating the people who've played lots and lots of battles in our game. You're the ones who keep it all going. And you keep us going. You keep your fellow players going by always being there and providing a fight. Much appreciation to you all. We also have R3GA_124 who reached 110,000 battles. Like I said, you have my gratitude and my respect for your commitment to the game.
And as always, that's a lot of battles. Yeah, thank you.
So many battles.
Definitely an amazing feat to reach. I'm sure when you start off, you're thinking, 100,000 battles is such a long, far away feat, but a lot of our players are reaching these milestones now.
Yeah, it's and like I said, it's huge for us because the players who play those battles are providing not just great feedback for us in terms of like what makes the game work for them, why they keep playing, but also they're providing fun for other players because that's what this game is about. It's going up against other players, doing your best, getting the wins, suffering the losses, and leaning into the next match.
That brings us to our segment here where we report how many player bans and clan tag names we had to change. And this week, looks like we only disbanded one clan.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's going down a little bit from last week. And in-game bans due to violations down to 21. So
I wish it was 0, but we all know that human nature is complicated. So just to keep you guys informed, obviously we'll keep reporting this kind of info to you guys so that you know that when things are reported, we do take them seriously. We review the cases and we take appropriate action. And, that's our commitment to you.
And that brings us to our Q&A section. So why don't we go ahead and start off with our first question here from Kellen. And they're asking, is it possible to add multiple variants or game modes of a single map to a custom game and have them selectable? For example, Himmelsdorf with multi-base assault where spawn/caps are moved.
Short answer is yes. Lots of things are possible. As always, time and resources are the big gating factors in any game development. Is it possible? Yes. Do we have some firm plans around specifically what was asked here? Probably no, but we do have things in the pipe that I would say meet some of those needs. Like, different available kind of game modes is definitely an important priority for us. I believe Bam has talked about that a little bit. And he and his team have lots of ideas and lots of work percolating in that area. I'm not gonna steal anybody's thunder and share too much there, but I would say that some of what you're looking for there, Kellen, is definitely upcoming, and so stay tuned.
Sounds great. Next question here from Squawk UCG. They're asking, would you consider switching the regular and premium rounds over on the forehead? Heat rounds are very little use anymore in Era 2.
Would we consider it? Yes. Considering it isn't the same as making a commitment, obviously what happens there is, okay, we'll look at the ask. The tank design team, they're going to look at the data, they're going to look at performance numbers, and hey, I get it. Very often people aren't happy to get the answer they don't want to hear, with the basis being, oh, hey, the performance numbers indicate this tank is fine and the ammo doesn't need swapping, etc. Like, we'll see. But yeah, it's a reasonable ask and we can look at it.
Next question from DJ Ehe, and they're asking, can you guys make the free XP tanks in the premium tech tree have a different price tag color so that they're easier to spot? Instead of a gold tag, maybe the free XP tanks will have more of a silver or black tag.
That's an interesting suggestion. Again, the question as asked is, can you do it? The answer is yeah, we can probably do that. Will we do it? I think it's reasonable to entertain that. I think that's interesting feedback. If that is a useful way for people to more quickly and readily identify the stuff they're interested in, I'm all for that, because that's a usability thing, right? We want the game to be usable. We don't want to make it hard for you to find what you're looking for. So yeah, I think we'll take that under advisement.
That's definitely an improvement, though. That seems to be helpful to be able to identify things quicker.
I think it's a great suggestion, and definitely worth looking into.
Mm-hmm. Next question from Herpdorp is asking, is there a chance of wheeled orc tanks in the future?
Never say never. I'll give a little further detail by saying, like, we would like to do more wheeled tanks. And we're working out how we can get to a place where we can do more wheeled tanks. I don't have anything to announce about that. I don't have a schedule to announce or say, hey, stay tuned for whatever. But please know that, yeah, wheeled tanks are something we care about and want to do some more of. Once we have them, because right now, okay, yeah, it's the Panhard, right? But once we have the ability to produce more wheeled tanks in a fast and timely manner, and to tune them in a fast and timely manner and make them available to you guys to play, then that opens up the opportunity for, like, hey, can we get an orc wheeled? Can we get a GI Joe wheeled? Whatever it might be, we'll have the capacity at that point. So yeah, we're definitely looking at that.
Okay. Next question here is a community question as a whole. Are there any plans to implement a minimum arming distance for the ATGMs to prevent light tanks from rushing in and essentially shotgunning, at close ranges?
That's a good question. I wouldn't say that there's like a firm plan. I would say that it's something we are looking at. And that goes back to my prior statement about, like, hey, there's some analysis that the tank designers have to do to say, okay, what's the size and scope of the problem? Is it a performance problem that literally makes this tank overpowered, kind of thing, or the tanks that it targets, underpowered against that kind of shotgunning approach? All that sort of stuff. Like, yeah, is minimum distance a solution to it? Possibly. Maybe there are other solutions to it as well. I will say that it's a thing that we're aware of and that we're looking into, but I'm not committing to one particular solution or another at this time.
Next question comes from Reddit, and they're asking, are there any plans to either move the FV4005 to Era 2 or reduce its pen/camo/speed? This can be a little this tank particularly can be a little troublesome for newer players to go against.
Yeah, it's a good question. And again, like, all the questions of the class of like tank A performs like so, should it change? Things like that. I mean, those are all questions of tank balance, and it is a thing we care about. We do take it seriously. I won't promise that like we have an answer for every single case, because there's always a balance point. We look at lots of different data points to determine whether we think a tank is balanced. I do acknowledge that it may not feel balanced to a particular player or a particular group of players at a particular moment in time, because it's like blood pressure, right? You may have a lousy run and get nailed by this tank in this way, and it's spoiling your play session, and that sucks. On the other hand, that may be a statistical outlier. Might not be. We look at all of that though. Like if a tank is really, tuned in such a way that it's not providing a fun experience for the majority of players, we balance that out as best we can, and we'll always be looking at stuff like that. And like I said, I get it. It definitely happens. I certainly have my share of runs where I lose a bunch of battles in a row, and I'm like, boy, that really sucked. That guy is just ruining my day. And sometimes it does mean something statistically. Other times it is not statistically significant. That may sound like lots of words and stuff, and that may not make everybody happy, but that's really how the sausage gets made around here. And we look at all those things, and we try to make the decision that is the best decision overall for the health of the game.
Last question here from our list of questions. Let's see. Death211 is asking, will the MBT-70 be getting a 20mm autocannon anytime soon?
I'll have to take that one back to the team and see. I'm not aware that we have plans to do that imminently. It's not my current roadmap. But hey, we can talk about it. We can talk about what the effort is there and what the lift looks like. So never say never, but it's not currently planned. No.
All right. Hopping over to some of our stream questions here. We'll start off with William of Scotland. Have they ever said if they will update or change the achievements / trophies?
I guess it depends on what you mean. If we're talking about the specific case where like there are certain achievements or trophies that aren't available anymore due to the passing of time and the changing of platforms and stuff like that, our hands are a little tied in some of those areas, just because like, okay, that may not be a thing that Sony will support us in doing. A lot of stuff can't be changed over time, because okay, those things are not within our sphere of control. We can ask, and sometimes the technical affordances just aren't there to change those things in that way. On the other hand, if that's not what you're asking, and if it's like just a more general, like, hey, our, achievements and things like that going to change over time, then the answer is, well, yes, certainly. Over time, we're always looking at, different combinations of things that represent achievements.
Let's see. Next question here from Grolsch. Can there be a rework on the silver earnings for World War II? It's difficult to break even when grinding tanks that are higher up the tier tree. It's just something to make World War II a little bit more rewarding.
It's a fair question. I would say that the economy is the way it is because that's what's worked up until now. I can understand. I do understand, the assertion that the grind can get too hard. That's always something that design looks at, is like, what's the grind look like? What's the economy look like? I wouldn't say that we're immediately planning to change that, because like, part of the skill of the game is to play at a level that allows you to earn. And I don't want us, I'll be clear, I don't want us to be a game where just the grind alone separated from performance is enough. It's got to be, it's got to be both. And that's part of the joy of the game, is developing a level of skill and being able to earn. And that's not to say that like every day is a perfectly good day, no matter how skilled you are. But the goal is that we hit that sweet spot between the time you invest and the skill you develop and the rewards you get.
Let's see. Next question here is from N7 Easier Pilots, and they're asking, do we have any more Golden Week codes to give out?
I don't know the answer to that one. Tankz0rz, can you help me out?
No codes currently. Sorry. You can still earn them in game for completing and winning challenges. So, next question here from Strider5599 asking, when will the premium medium tier 10 OBJ 907 become available?
That's a good question. I am struggling to keep up there. Okay, here we go. All right. Yeah, there's no known date for this one right now. That tank is only going to be available during special sales events, and those only happen a few times a year. And the tank that is available during a given special sales event, the tanks that are available, they're going to vary per event. Our live ops team, kind of carefully curates that stuff. So yeah, the answer is right now there's not a known date for that one.
Next question from Alexander Gruber, and they're asking, why can't I buy a single Reaper Scythe in the store?
Okay. So the reason you can't buy it is, as we noted earlier, you get two chances. You're getting two chances at it through the community event, and if you participate in that event and defeat the orcs first, and then start the battle against chaos, et cetera, et cetera. Like, the point is, the Reaper side is earnable through that, and that's really the avenue to get you that tank. So just get in there and participate and help the community achieve the reward points, and that tank is yours.
Awesome. Next question from Gunny531 asking, can you guys relocate the MOEs for the BMP3 to a larger gun so that you can actually see it a little better? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the MOE is tied to the tank's main gun, which in this case is the autocannon. We don't have any support in the game for displaying MOE on secondary weapons. Not to say that that's not an interesting request, but yeah, we don't have the ability to do that at this time.
Right. Next question from George Laura, and they're asking, will there be balance changes? Oh, sorry, not balance changes. Will there be changes to earn the Warhammer tanks? Or chances? Still can't read.
Yeah. Well, as we already noted, there are some tanks that you can earn through the community op event. We were just talking about that. But some of these other tanks, the only way to get them is through the store bundles. You can, and like in general, the whole shape of it is you participate in the event, you unlock discounts for the bundles to make them cheaper. The only exception to that is the Leman Russ. That's already fully discounted, so you could just go and get the Leman Russ that way. If you're asking about can you earn the tank versus earning the tank discount, the answer is no. You earn the discount on the tank.
Awesome. And stick around, George, to the end of the stream. I'll have a little surprise to announce. So, wink, wink. Next question from Justin G.
See what you did there.
Could we get changes on certain equipment from percentage based to numerical values, like the speed and horsepower equipment? They do nothing for slower tanks, but a lot for fast ones.
Okay, well, that's an interesting question, and like that's a general game design question, for lots of games. Like there's always the choice between like, hey, are you doing a percentage based increase, or are you doing a flat numerical increase? In this particular case, the items in question are designed to work with the tanks in a complementary way, and by that I mean that they're intended to provide more benefit to vehicles that are designed to go faster. So yeah, I mean that is an actual design choice there. Now, we can agree to disagree on whether that's the right choice or not. Always interested in feedback on that, but the current implementation is intended to help vehicles that are designed to go faster.
Awesome. Next question from Austin. They're asking, any updates on the double-barreled tanks?
Oh, the double barrels. Okay. There's no update yet. We don't have a scheduled release date. I will tell you, yes, we're still looking at them. It is not a thing we've forgotten about. It's just more a case of where and when. And when we have the where and when worked out, we'll have a scheduled release date to communicate to all of you. But stay tuned.
Sounds great. Next question from Kenny, and they're asking, does the Reaper scythe have landmines?
No landmines, unfortunately. I wish.
Sounds great. I feel like, I don't know, it reminded me of a situation like when I was younger in school, and you go to school and you're playing a game, you know, your buddy's playing the same game. You're like, hey, you know, I think this does this, or does this have this? And, you know, that's how like rumors start. But no, Reaper scythe does not have landmines. Next question here from Decamp FTW. Do the events rewards stack, i.e. the teeth breaker being discounted twice?
Great question. And the answer is no. The discount displayed is the full discount for the bundle. It is not additive, so you can't stack discounts up.
Next question from Snarf Music. Is there a way to get the Ignis Purgatio tank at 50% during the event?
Another good question. Yeah, max discount you can unlock for that tank is 30%. So 30% discount is the most you can unlock. The more expensive vehicles, like for example the Nemesis and the Teethbreaker, can unlock up to a 50% discount, but the discount tops out based on the overall value of the tank.
Next question from Decamp again, and they're asking, for future weekly shoutouts, could you color coordinate the names for Xbox and PS4? That's an interesting.
I don't know, Tankz0rz. Can we?
Yeah, I'll definitely look into that and see how that looks visually. But yeah, that'd be interesting info to have. Let's see. Next question here from Nagato, and they're asking, in multiplayer battles and cooperative mode, change the damage for the players so that the bots and players are equal in the second World War mode.
Yeah. Okay. I think I understand what we're talking about here. So yeah, if I understand the question correctly, then yeah, the mechanic is there to offer more of a challenge for the player. The bots are already at a disadvantage. They're bots, okay? I mean, it's not. We're not talking GPT here. They're not like just magically getting better game to game based on a whole bunch of machine learning analysis. Although that would be super cool until they get too good and then we're all doomed. But the mechanic's there to offer a challenge for the player. The bots are at a disadvantage because player skill, of course, is generally going to greatly exceed anything the bot can do. So the difference there exists just to give the bots like a minimal fighting chance, so that they're not just complete fodder. They have to provide at least a little bit of challenge in the game.
Mm-hmm. Next question here from PZ Recon. Any plans to bring the Cold War Chieftain Hybrid 120 back up for sale?
Yeah, this is kind of an echo of the earlier question that we had from Strider, I think, about the availability of a tank. As mentioned earlier, the tanks that aren't available on the premium tech tree only get sold during special sales events. Any given tank within that tree is going to be on sale at some point in time during some event. But those dates are not known in advance, far in advance. When they're available, we let you know that they're available for sale through the usual channels.
Next question here from Decamp. They're asking,
hey, Decamp, I like the level of participation, man. Keep it coming.
Great questions here. Can we get a clan-specific tag or tab in the garage? The menu has the platoon one, etc.
Yeah, definitely something we've considered while we're talking about clans and how we do more with clans in the game. Um, there's no particular update for you on like the availability of the specific thing you're asking for, but we have plans for clans upcoming, and we'll have more to share in future streams. So stay tuned on that topic.
Awesome. Next question from Colonel Ding, and they're asking, will regularly scheduled premium bonus slash on track ops ever be coming back?
Okay, Colonel Dingus. All right. We've been running other events in this place that have been more popular for players and beneficial to any tank. A couple examples are like, the XP with interest, silver with interest, others of that ilk. So we still have some nation specific bonuses like the recent Italian line event, but yeah, we've been running other events instead. And probably that's kind of the way we're going.
Next question here from a problematic jelly. They're asking, can the name of each tank be displayed on the minimap? That way we could make better decisions on where to go and how to approach a situation.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to make you sad on this one. We're up against hard limits there with the minimap. We are already at the outside edge of our memory availability, the amount of memory that we can actually allocate to the minimap, and the names only inflate the memory footprint. I know it might sound like, no, hey, it's just a few letters, whatever. I get it, but like when you're right up at the edge of what memory will tolerate, there, we've got a bounded amount of memory available for that, and the rest of the memory has to be for other things in the game. So yeah, memory usage limit is, we're right up against it, and also given the size of the map, there's no way we could render those names in a way that would be readable. They'd either be so large that they'd overlap and be illegible, or so tiny that they'd still be illegible. So, yeah, it just for the average console player, and the hardware and the television and the distance from the TV and all that sort of stuff, like it, very very hard. And we already get feedback that the font size is difficult for some of our players. We certainly don't want to introduce more problems there. So yeah, sorry I can't make you happy on that one, but like, yeah, we're just up against limits there that make that impossible.
Next question here from Fidel Marquez, and they're asking, can we get 4-player platoons back? They don't enjoy leaving their 4th man out.
I know. Look, guys, I feel you on that one. I myself am a 4-person kind of player myself. I freely admit I don't play Apex Legends because they pin you to 3, and I do play Call of Duty because I can have a 4-person group in Warzone. Those are just examples from out in the wild. So yeah, I feel you. I like 4 better than 3 myself, and like I said, I know, I get it. It's absolutely more fun that way for a lot of people. I myself enjoy that. But right now, where we are at this moment in time, 4-person platoons just raise hell with the matchmaker and the match balance. And so we just can't allow it at this time. I would like to be in a place where we could, but that's not where we are right now.
Next question from Southpaw 1412, and they're asking, can we remove Corellia from Cold War since the engagement time is sub 7 seconds, or who reloads faster?
That's interesting feedback. We can definitely talk to the map design team and have them take a look at that and see what the performance is like, and what the engagement times are, et cetera, et cetera. And we can see if that's something that could be changed. I mean, the actual removing a map or adding a map, yeah, that's a mechanical thing that we can do. The question is, okay, should we do it? Yeah, we can look into that.
Awesome. Let's see. Next question from Degeneratio. They're asking, any plans to add the derp gun back to the VK 2801? It was removed a long time ago, but it wasn't overpowered.
No plans for this currently. As for whether it was overpowered or not, I actually can't tell you that categorically at this time. I'm not looking at the data for that, and I don't have it in my head. Whether it was or was not overpowered is an interesting question, but we don't currently have plans to add that gun back. No.
Next question is for you here. Brought to you by iDaveGM. What is Deebo's favorite tank to look at? And admiration. And what is your favorite tank to play?
Wow. This is a fun question. I like this one. This one's fun. Well, first of all, let me say I love all my children equally, and I don't like to, I don't like to say, well, but this tank is the best looking one or whatever, because I mean, like I said, I love all my kids. What I will say though, honestly, right now, today, just given the work we did and what it took to get it put together, obviously, I love the Lehman Russ right now. Like today, the Lehman Russ has all my attention. I'm just like, I like to look at that tank because of all the work we put into that one, and because of the unique process by which we modeled that tank. And without telling a bunch of stories out of school or whatever, there was so much investment in getting that one built that I'm very, very fond of the finished result. So I love to look at that one. I really do. I'm enjoying that a lot right now. And as far as favorite tank to play, I would have to say, this is going to get me in so much trouble, but I'm really enjoying the AVRE.
There's different tanks for different people.
No, that's yeah, I'm sorry. That was very trolly of me. But no, actually, no, honestly, my favorite tank right now, probably I would probably say the Wiesel. I'm having fun with that mechanic right now. I freely admit that just as a player. I'm having fun with that. Some people might disagree with me having fun with that, but no, I really like the Wiesel right now.
Sounds great. Let's see. Sir Tankz0rz is asking, when the license expires for Warhammer, will the tank be available for contracts?
Yeah, sorry, no. The vagaries of contracts and agreements and all that sort of stuff are such that once the license is gone, the tanks are unavailable to buy, sell, or give away. You can't really get a deal with any major intellectual property holder like Games Workshop to have like some infinite license for the content. It generally doesn't work that way. These things are pretty bounded in time, and they have a bounded cost. And I know that's all boring legal stuff and businessy stuff, but that's just how the sausage is made. Similarly, we had a number of opportunities for the GI Joe stuff, but there eventually came a time when they're like, okay, that content is no longer available for us to sell. You still have them. Please get them while you can if you really enjoy that content. And that's not to say that stuff doesn't come back and that we don't negotiate new contracts and deals with things like that, especially for stuff you guys love. But every contract has a beginning and an end. And in this case, yeah, when the license is up, the tanks will be unavailable to buy, sell, or give away.
Next question from JFab. They're asking, can we fix the sound effect of shell types to be consistent? Loading hash on one tank sounds different every time a shell is loaded. Maybe a different sound for different shell types so they know when they're switching ammo.
That's an interesting observation. And I will freely admit, I think in terms of changing ammo, historically, we paid more attention to the visual notification of changing ammo and giving you a visual point of reference to know that, oh, I'm on this ammo versus that ammo. I've switched, whatever. I didn't switch. We've been more focused on the visual representation of that. The shell loading audio that currently exists just randomly picks out a sound effect. It's not shell specific. We've never really had shell specific audio there. It's an interesting notion. And I'm not opposed to the idea of the audio being meaningful so that you don't have to take your eyes off of what you're looking at to go and check. That's fair. Other ways of looking at it is like, hey, maybe we can move the visual indicators to a place that's more amenable to you checking at a glance. I don't know. That's something that we can look at. It's interesting.
More immersion, right? Can't be a
bad
thing.
I mean, hey, we were talking about voiceovers earlier, right? That's all that stuff. I personally like sounds a lot, so it's an interesting notion.
Next question from iDaveGM, and they're asking, what are the thoughts on class or clan-based operations? where you could play as a platoon, earn bonuses, and contribute for regular or small rewards for your members of your clan, such as boosts or vouchers, etc.
Yeah, I won't speak for my, for my esteemed colleagues in live operations or anything, because they'd actually be the people responsible for making all that stuff work on the regular once it's built. But I will say, I certainly like the idea. It's certainly something that's been discussed when we talk about what we're going to do with clans. There's no current plan to implement something, that matches that right now. I think our initial clan plans are, to start smaller and start building that thing out. But I would not take that off the table, certainly, as some eventual target we'd like to support for clans. So, yeah, I mean, notionally, I'm with you, right? The rest is in the details. And as we figure out what our plan for clans is going forward and have something like a roadmap to share with you guys, that'll definitely be a topic of discussion.
Awesome. Next question here from Max Miner Tanker. Can you guys make a commander with a prosthetic leg, which also has a unique VO, something to honor our wounded warriors?
Yeah, this is a great one. I love this one. And yes, it's been mentioned before. I don't know who originally suggested it, but yes, we've heard this one. We have a ticket in our issue tracker to look into the possibility of this. So we're definitely aware of this. Obviously, it's something we would like to do. So again, this isn't so much an if thing as more of a like, okay, when could we do it? And of course, there's research to be done. Like, what would be a meaningful and respectful way of modeling this animate? Like, it's got to look good and it's got to be right. So yeah, love the idea. I don't have a firm like it's more of a when than an if. But yeah, we're definitely looking at it.
Awesome. All right. You have time for one more question here?
I've got time.
All
Sure.
right. Question here from Tactical Potato, and they're asking, "WoT console, any word on when 3D Commander Emma Wagner will become available? She's pictured in the April 11th update article."
Okay, yeah, Emma. So yeah, she was part of our Steel Beasts season a few seasons back. Well, quite a few seasons back, maybe, but a while back there during Steel Beasts, you could earn her for free. For the update article, that was just an image showcasing the new commander's skill display. It wasn't about Emma. That's sort of incidental that Emma was displayed there. That wasn't a deliberate thing. It was supposed to be, here is a commander. The emphasis was on the skill display that had been added to the garage. So we don't right now have any dates for when she might be available again. But I appreciate your interest in Emma. Maybe we got to look at that.
Still have time for a couple more?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm here as long as you guys need me, or as long as you guys care to tolerate me.
Sounds good. Not sure if you had to run. Sometimes, meetings come knocking, right?
Well, Bam's got a real job. I just, I'm just a pretty face.
Marcini's asking, could you please review the alpha damage for the low? Some of the medium tanks on the same tier have bigger alpha damage.
Okay, well, not to quibble, but the damage is correct for the 10.5 centimeter gun. So short answer is, could we review it again? Yeah, we could, but we think it's right. I'd be interested at some point in hearing why we think it needs to change. But yeah, right now, based on our current analysis, it's correct and where it should be for that tank.
Kragan Zoc is asking, can we get a team HP counter similar to what PC uses for their HUD?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, that's an area where we differ from our PC brethren. Due to our game mechanics and victory conditions, this would probably cause confusion. We don't use a system that determines victory based on hit points, right? That's not actually how you win a match in our game today. That kind of thing means that your team could have more hit points at the end of the battle. If we implemented that kind of thing, it could mean that you have more hit points at the end of the battle on your team at total and still lose. And that would be confusing to players, we think. Obviously, we can agree to disagree there, but I think that would be too confusing.
Next question from Alex. Will the Ignis Purgatio be buffed? It is a little underpowered for Era 2, they think.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the feedback. I'm going to tell you, like, some boring, dry numbers here, but the tank is just released. So, just to be clear, it's very, very hard to make a fair evaluation of a tank's performance when it's pretty new. You just don't have a sample size that's large enough. You want a pretty good sized sample so that you can see if things normalize over time, right? Like a tank may come out of the box hot, right? And people go, oh, it's overperforming. You may see it drop back down to the mid, as more people play it, as people get used to countering it, all that stuff. So right now, I'd say we don't have enough data to make that decision. Our current data does say that it's at a 55.5% win rate. So again, small sample size, right? But right now, that's a pretty competitive number. Over time, we'd like to see that number, of course, settle down closer to 50% win rate. So right now, today, no buff, right? The data doesn't tell us that this tank needs a buff. I know that that's not always fun to hear, but like, who knows? Like I said, time changes, sample size changes. We continue to track tank performance. If we see that that number is dropping down to something lower than we think is fair, then yeah, then we'll look at it.
Two more questions here. Next up, Jamie is asking, will you ever go back to paying for consumables when they're consumed rather than auto paying for them even if you don't consume them?
Yeah. Well, the consumables are providing passive bonus, so you're using and benefiting from them every match. Whether you explicitly are going ahead to use them, pressing the button to enable them or not. So given that passive effect, that's exactly why you auto pay for them, right? And I get it. Like there's a broader design discussion about passive versus active and things like that. But the way they are today, you auto pay because they're providing passive bonus.
And last question here from RexCraft737. They're asking, will there be any new tier 10s for the US tech tree?
Nothing currently planned for that. Sorry to disappoint, but yeah, we don't have any current plans for that at this time.
Sounds great. That wraps up our weekly stream here. Thank you very much for everyone joining us. As I mentioned earlier, I forget who was asking. They were asking if there was any more ways to earn Warhammer tanks. And
you're right. Somebody did ask that.
We have a small little surprise for you. Keep your eyes out on our social media channels because there is another mega bundle giveaway that will be starting shortly. So go ahead and keep your eyes out if you like to have a chance to earn these amazing tanks. And yeah, good best of luck to all of you.
Good luck, guys. I am going to be very happy when somebody wins one of those. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate you all having me. Thank you, Tankz0rz, for carrying my corpse through this entire stream. Always appreciated. And thanks to all of you for tuning in and stuff. We really do appreciate you guys. I know that we don't always tell you what you want to hear, but we do tell you what we know, and we try to tell it to you straight. So once again, my thanks and appreciation to all of you. See you again on another stream some other time when Bam is busy with more important stuff than dealing with me.
Listen, maybe we'll toss you on sometime soon, but thank you very much, everyone. And if you're on Twitch, stick around, and we're gonna go ahead and raid one of our community contributors. For everyone else, have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you on the battlefield. Take care, everyone.
Roll out, y'all.